should be in Lansing doing the people's work? You want me to repeat it? Given your work in Lansing and with respect to the election, don't you feel we should be in Lansing doing the people's work?
Absolutely. And I'm proud to have done it for the last 4 years. I think that one of the things that folks probably don't know about right now is that the Michigan legislature has been out of session since June. Now, that has nothing to do with any individual legislator. The majority party who controls the legislature controls the agenda and controls the calendar. So we have been out of the legislature since June. And I think that it's about time that we go back to work because we have a lot to do for the state. So I couldn't agree more with you. I think that it's been a shame that this majority in the state legislature has not called us back to Lansing in order to do the people's work. In fact, I went to Lansing last week in order to go to my office to make sure that we are responding to constituent emails. We have Chris, who's in the office every week, responding to our constituents, but we have not been able to act on any legislation because we have been out of session and on this summer break that, in my opinion, the legislature does not deserve.
Another question from the audience. With all of the TV and radio ads and the lies being told, how does one find the truth in national elections? Why is the truth in advertising regulation not used to stop the lies?
That's a great question because I've been the victim of that many times, as we've known. Let me say this, in all joking aside on this, I think it's very important to do your research in any election. I think we've seen an increase in what we call fake news, right? We've seen an increase in fake information that we've seen over time. And it's important as voters to make sure that you're going directly to candidates and asking them questions. Just like I'm here today as a candidate for state representative, my opponent chose not to join us today for whatever reason he asked. But in order to run for office and to put yourself in front of voters, you should not be afraid to answer questions about how you feel and what you're doing, and what you're going to do as a lawmaker. But going back to the ads, I think the biggest thing is we know that that's not going away. There's so many loopholes in our laws that allow folks to put out false information. There's many loopholes that allow them to lie about other candidates. We're seeing my opponent do that every single day. But it's important that we're going to the source when we're looking at information, especially when it looks to be something that's negative. We see that quite a bit. And I think it's important that we're doing our best to spread the true information around when we get it, and making sure that we're doing our best to clear up any misunderstandings when we see them. So that's my best bet on that one.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Another question from the audience. The advantage of having the state's representative from the largest city be from Taylor, many feel that because of our size, we should have our own state's representative. Do you feel this is an outright attack by the Republicans to control Taylor?
So let me be clear on this. The redistricting commission was made up, well, it's still intact, but there was made up of, I believe, equal number of Democrats, Republicans, and independents. And their job was to create districts that were fair, compact, and fair politically, meaning very close in numbers as far as Democrats, Republicans, independents. And this district is a very, very, very representative of what the goal was of that redistricting commission. Now, I know a lot of folks are upset about that because the city of Taylor has been cut into 2 districts, which has never happened before since our city, well, since we became a city in the late 60s. We've always had Taylor one state house district. This is the first time ever that we've been split into 2. So if you live anywhere south of North Line Road in Taylor, you are not in the 29th House District, you're in the 28th House District. And I will say this, it's a shame that Taylor was broken up. It should have never been broken up, in my opinion, because the city of Taylor is an anchor city. It is the largest city downriver, and there's no reason that they could have had to break the city of Taylor up. However, we are here, and we're feeling exactly what's happening here. They've added many other communities, and we welcome those communities. And I know that many folks in Taylor are upset. I hear it all the time. We hear it a lot at the doors, because many folks don't know that Taylor's been cut into 2 districts. They assume that, I'm running and I'll be on their ballot. That's not the case if you live anywhere south of Northline. And I feel the frustrations. I'm frustrated too with that, because you can't control what happens on the redistricting commission. But what we have now is we have communities stretching from Taylor to Monroe City, and we have to make sure that we're doing our best to reach out to those voters to make sure that they understand that we share their values here in Taylor, we share their Monroe values, and many times their working class values, and we have to make sure we're advancing those in Lansing.
Thank you. It makes you guys feel better. They divided Dearborn into 3 districts.
You're right.
It was confusing, but another question from the audience: why isn't Gizmo in your mailers?
The question was, why isn't my dog Gizmo on the mailers? I'll bring them back by popular demand. Don't do that.
Those are the index we have. Does anybody in the audience, we want to give you guys a chance to ask your question. Anybody in the audience has any question? We good? Awesome. To our final question.
Sure.
Finally, what's important for voters to know about you, Representative Garza?
Thank you. I appreciate the question. I think, first of all, I just want to say that this election is so important for not just the city of Taylor, but for the Downriver area and for Monroe County. I'm very proud of the work that I've done and what I've accomplished as a state legislator over the past 4 years. I look forward to the opportunity to potentially going back for another 2 years to represent the people in the 29th district. I have gained a wide variety of support in this election. I'm endorsed by almost every labor union that you can think of. I'm endorsed by the Michigan Chamber of Commerce. I'm endorsed by the Michigan Farm Bureau, which, again, going back to looking at who they historically support, they usually don't support Democrats. So, and I think it's important to know that we've built a coalition of groups that have supported Republicans, who have supported Democrats, who have supported independents, because I have worked with all of these groups over the years to make sure that we've gotten things done for this district. And that's not going to change if I'm reelected to the new 29th district. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of relationships to build. There's no agenda with me as a state representative. There's no agenda, no partisan agenda that I have. It's always been about the people I've represented. It always will continue to be about the people that I represent, because that's exactly why they sent me to the legislature. And I want to be clear about that. Also, I'm the only candidate endorsed by the Pro-Second Amendment group, which is the Michigan Coalition for Responsible Gun Owners. And I'm proud of that as well, as someone who is a CPL holder. So I think it's important that we see exactly what's happening in this election, what people's agendas are. I could tell you that my agenda and Mr. DeSanta's agenda is very different. Just look at what he says. That's all I'll say about that. Because you have to look at what people say and believe them for what they say. It's very dangerous times that we're living in, and my opponent is a dangerous person. I think that that's very apparent, and I welcome the opportunity for him to let folks know the way he feels about issues, because it's important that he does that. And I am happy to be here tonight with all of you, and please, if anyone has any questions at all in the future, or even after we convene, after we disperse tonight, please come to me and ask questions. But I will be very clear. With me, there's no agenda. It's always been about the people I represent, and it will continue to be about the people I represent if reelected. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Garza. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Please make sure you go out and vote and motivate others to vote. There is so much on the line in this election. It's not about individuals sometimes, it's about the issues that we're going to be voting for. Thank you so much, everyone. This concludes our forum for tonight.